Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you're distracting the referee because the babyface has your wrestler pinned. Then you get punched to the ring apron and you realize all the trouble you're in on the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. You got the guy in an abdominal stretch and you grab the rope for extra leverage. Then you get a concussion from the angry Russian. You get paid with a diet soft beverage on the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you reach out for the hot tag and you go ahead and make your own comeback. Don't do that. That's when you should quit wrestling and you're better off rolling in thumbtacks. Hey, W, the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. You got yourself in a headlock and you're worried about smearing your lip gloss. You shoot her off and take a shoulder block. Do the leapfrog, give her the hip toss on the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. One more, sometimes you go over that top rope and you bang your head on the ring apron. That's when you feel like a big dope. They're the worst bumps you should be taking. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Now double claps. Clap, 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 clap. What's going on, Bob Squad? It's a pay-per-view, I think. The hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. Whoa, yay. What are we bushwhacking our way through today, Bob Squad? There's a WWE. Do they call them pay-per-views? Give me a second. It's premier event. Whatever. We're going to have to call them pay-per-views for a little bit. Alright? I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to make that change with you. I'm not ready to make that change. Ever since my mother, it's Mother's Day, ever since my mother gave birth to me at February 22nd at 10:04 a.m. on a Friday in 1980 at the Phelps Memorial Tarrytown Medical Facility. It's so medical facility is my favorite one of those. My favorite weird McMahon phrase instead of how normal people talk. They're hospitals. Medical personnel, well, they're doctors. I love that. What's the ambulance? Is it a medical vehicle? Medical transportation vehicle? I don't know. Who cares? Yeah, so there's this event that I don't know of any. Did anyone know? It looks like half the roster didn't know there was a pay-per-view today. What was going on? WrestleMania Backlash, or just Backlash, because that's confusing. If you're not used to Vince McMahon having dementia, this is very confusing. But basically, it's the 5 or 6 week after WrestleMania first pay-per-view. If WWE Pro Wrestling has a season, I think it ends with WrestleMania and starts with the day after WrestleMania, I guess, or the Raw after WrestleMania, roughly. And we start again, and this is the first premiere event of starting again. And this is one of those ones where I woke up this morning and went, that is today. Well, I mean, they ended it in 3 hours shortly instead of the 4 that they've been going for everything else. That's good. Oh, there are a lot of wacky things. I'm not going to talk about the wrestling. We'll talk about a little business after the fact. But let me just jump on this while this is fresh in my mind. As I mentioned before, this is the first pay-per-view after several years of having 2 main singles male champions. It's been the 2 titles, whatever you want to call them, Universal and WWE, or whatever. It was WWE and World for a while. They're more or less, I mean, let's be honest, they're the Raw and SmackDown championships. And Vince doesn't want the main male titles called the Raw title and a SmackDown title. He wants to have it. Women, he doesn't seem to care as much, but and I guarantee you, it's micromanaged to that degree. If I say he doesn't care as much, I'm not talking about just his people. I mean, he would care. But the women could just have a Raw one and a SmackDown one, and they're not really too worried about it. But this is the first pay-per-view in years. I don't know how many years where there's been one single champion. I want to say the Universal one was started. I think it was 2016, the one where Finn Balor beat Seth and got hurt in the same match and all that. SummerSlam 2016, Barclays, Brooklyn. I didn't go to that one. Is that right? I think that's correct. So there you go. Or was it 15? Who cares? No, it was 16. So yeah, and they had no title defense. That's my point. Roman is in a 6-man, and I don't want to jump the gun and talk about the main event too much right now, but in the 6-man, Paul Heyman's lack of necessity for this match stuck out to me. It really did feel like it felt like a very, very good SmackDown main event, and it was, because they really went above and beyond with all their false finishes and their big spots towards the end and everything else. And they built there and took their time to get there, and they had the time to get there. It was a short pay-per-view with no pay-per-view time limit to worry about. So there you go. Paul Heyman's his face, his reactions, his sense of urgency that he normally would have in a Roman title defense was not there, because it didn't need to be. I mean, he wants to win, and he wants his guy, especially Roman, to not get hurt, but it's not the end of the world. He doesn't want Roman to pin for the embarrassment, the hassle of having to give a title opportunity, LOL, to anyone who may defeat him in the thing. So it's not that he doesn't care, but he's also got two guys out there on Roman's team, the Usos. Like, Paul Heyman could have not been there, and his facial reactions and his sense of urgency that he adds to it wasn't needed, because there was clearly no urgency. And the announcers, Cole and Pat McAfee, worked very hard to make this feel as important as they could, and I think at some point they switched from make this feel as important as it could to make this be as fun as it could. And I think that was the right call. Let's have a good time at a pro wrestling thing. Who knew? So I actually did enjoy it for that. But let's start from the beginning. I did not see any of the pre-show minus the last 2 minutes. Apparently the pre-show was wonderfully produced. I don't know who produced the entire hour pre-show. Maybe it was one of the... I don't know. But I understand that it was just really well done. So kudos to whoever produced the pre-show. I have no idea. There's no way of knowing. Let's go to the pay-per-view. We start off with my favorite match of the night. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. There's packages. There's long packages. Long, thick, blue-veined packages slinging over your shoulders. You're trying to work as you're alone with the boss. Overtime on a Friday night. Maybe there's some wine. Stop it. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins have a wonderful pro wrestling match. And people don't understand, this is what Bret Hart's been talking about for years. Bret Hart is always correct. Telling a story in a match. Seth Rollins here, and Cody was great, but I'm not acknowledging Cody, but Seth Rollins was wonderful here, where he told the story of this time it's a different match, even though it's the same two guys. It's a different match in WrestleMania because I am prepared, because I am ready. So he had Cody's moves scouted up top, and he was more vicious, as he should have been. And Cody had to counteract it, and Cody looked a lot more like he was struggling this time. Well, it looked like two guys trying to win a match, and it looked really good. I liked it a lot. I do raise my eyebrow that they let Cody bounce off the rope and do the Cody Cutter, like an RKO falling off a turnbuckle or a rope or whatever. That's a little odd to me, but with Randy Orton being a major guy and having the most over finisher in the entire company, so that's a little strange to me that's still, because nothing is going under their radar nowadays. Everything's micromanaged, so I'm a little perplexed that that's still going on. I don't know, maybe they're friends and Orton would be cool with it or not care. Like, that's a conspiracy theory. I don't know the answer, but I'm just saying the finish was a little odd. They did the heel Seth does the O'Connor roll. He hooks the tights, but he doesn't get. It doesn't work. And Cody reverses the roll, of course, and Cody hooks the tights and does a little cheat to beat Seth. I don't know. I'm not going to completely shit on it. I'm not 100% on board with that. I think Cody did need to win this one too, but if they're going to have Seth, if Seth is going to do all this work, all this physical punishment, and all this TV time and all this talking to make Cody and get Cody ready for Roman, then I don't know. Cody, I mean, this really means Cody has to wrestle him again and beat him again, and this time right in the middle with no shenanigans, which he's done already. So it's like, gee, why would they? Seth didn't need the out. I understand their mentality is always, they love the 50-50 booking. And America loves 50-50 booking. Let's do Wade, let's do Rhodes, let's do, okay, Bob. And then reverse it. So the stipulations are bullshit. Okay, Bob, enough. So, did Seth need the out? I don't think so. Because he's more or less the star of Monday Night Raw. During Big E's title reign, he was the star of Monday Night Raw. It was still the Seth Rollins show. So did he need the out? I don't think so. If it was Cody and Kevin Owens having that WrestleMania rematch, they would have just beat Kevin in the middle again. And Kevin didn't need the out. And Kevin is right up there in terms of how much they use him, and have Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, and right before Bayley got hurt, we're a segment, and Miz to this day are segment fillers. They're going to talk, and they're going to wrestle, and there's going to be a break, and the match is still going to be going on, and we could fill time. So Seth could have lost clean twice in two big shows. He could lose clean for the next couple of years every time he wrestles, and he'll still be Seth Rollins. It's like when Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio came back at roughly the same time, and they lost every match. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter after a bit. And I think Seth is so cemented that I guess it must mean they're doing a third match, and if they don't, that's not good for Cody. It's good for Seth. I mean, we have to give Seth something to complain about, of course, if there's going to be a third match. So, 3 shows in a row of the same. I don't know about that. I don't mind a good rematch, but 3, especially when there's no rubber. It's just 1-1-1. Just here we go. I don't know, guys, but my favorite match of the night, and Seth told a great story. I took a long time on that. Sorry, but there's not many matches on this show, so we can move on. For the match number 2, I wrote Omos versus Lashley. LOL. So this match was, they aired it. It was live. They didn't have much of a choice. Lashley is in there with a Bobby Lashley. Looks like $1 million. Great buttocks. You should check him out when you get a chance. No, he looks great. He's in there with Omos, who doesn't look great, but he's big. And MVP is there to do everything he can. But I feel like they got the match, the pay-per-view match they would have gotten out of these two, and it should have been over after WrestleMania. I felt that way at WrestleMania. I'm being stubborn. I'm keeping my opinion. I think this was evidence. This was worse than a WrestleMania match. With more practice, more time, more planning, they had a worse match. How? Well, a couple of things. First of all, I think this was longer than a WrestleMania match. That's a bad idea. I don't think this hit 10 minutes, but I think it came close of ring time. I noticed up top, Omos is moving around a lot, and he's not. Lashley has to do all the running. He is hitting all the ropes in this match, and that's not what Bobby Lashley does. I'm not saying the guy doesn't have great cardio compared to the average American. He's a physical specimen, but Lashley should not be hitting those ropes. It takes a lot out of you, and it's just too much for Lashley to be doing. Lashley can never put Omos where he wants Omos. He's really... Omos, he's not just big, he's immobile. There's a certain body language where you kind of, when someone's trying to put you somewhere, you stay standing, but you go limp and let them move you where you got to be moved. Omos has never picked that up. Ronda Rousey's never picked that up. That's a different story. You can't have Lashley just running around, and they did. And on top of that, especially up top, Omos is moving way too fast. And I think, and I don't know, we don't really know unless you're one of the 3 guys in that ring, including the referee, or MVP, so 4 guys. I think Omos got gassed early on, is my guess. Because Omos was moving around a lot. When he's stomping or giving forearms to Lashley, or these strange elbows in a corner, Omos is moving, or he's doing all this running. He's way more. It might be a nervousness thing, but more so when on Raw, Raw he has different opponents. But either way, anyone Omos wrestles is going to do all the running around while he works the middle, you would think. But Omos is charging him in a corner and charging him in a corner. I'm like, he's moving too much. This isn't good for him. And sure enough, Lashley did all he could. Omos is always facing the wrong direction. He's in the wrong spot. He shoves Lashley into the turnbuckle, and Lashley took the turnbuckle not with his back or his chest, but with his ribs on the side, because he could. Omos doesn't have that. I bet you he's just shoving guys into the ropes and turnbuckles, because normally graceful guys are not looking graceful when they wrestle. And Omos does Diesel's old snake eyes and then bounce off and give him the boot, that was the Undertaker's thing. My bad. Or was it Diesel's? Because they both did both moves. Ah, Jesus Christ. Anyway, I think it was Taker's. So Omos does it, but Omos is 7 feet tall. If he's in the middle of the ring, he should be there in 1 step. It takes 3 steps to get there. I'm 5'11". I can cross the 20 by 20 ring. If you're running and you got momentum, you can do it in 3.5 steps. Right? There's no reason, except he's clumsy. It shouldn't be. I just think the experiment's over. So I went off on this too much. Lashley's doing everything he can. He has a one-armed full Nelson on him at one point. It's a mess. Some kind of, I forget how he did it, but a full Nelson, but just one arm in the head and not both arms. It looked really odd, but he was trying to improvise. He did a spine buster where Omos was able to get 6 inches off the mat. Okay. Yeah. There's some finish where, I don't know, after all of that, Omos can't be moved. He can barely be picked up. He can't be shoved around. But MVP still has to hit Lashley in the throat or the head or something with the end of his cane. And then Omos gets the pin. I don't remember if Omos hit a move after the cane. I really don't. He probably did, because they always overkill it. But in this case, I wouldn't mind MVP just using the cane and the heat just going right straight to MVP, because isn't the goal of this to watch Lashley finally get his hands on MVP, because he's chasing him around the ring? So if that's what we're working towards, then screw it. Don't put the heat on Omos. Who gives a shit? But that's me. Not a crazy person. What happened? And this match ended, so 2 matches. We were 1 hour into the show. We had 2 matches. Just want to make note of that. Edge versus AJ Styles, the Blue Light Special. Damien Priest is banned from ringside, LOL. Not much to say about this. This was a really, really good match. I love Edge's new tights. Edge took... this was great, because early on, Edge took very few bumps. And they sold... A lot of it was just AJ selling his arm, selling his shoulder. He had the wacky Kanishio, whatever the hell it's called, tape on his shoulder. And at one point, AJ wanted to take the shoulder, the shoulder into the corner post bump, and he seemed to kind of miss it, but he still had the sense to hit the steps anyway. And it was wonderful, because AJ is so smart and so great, and Edge is so smart and so great, and they were having, just like Seth and Cody, a wonderful, wonderful match until the finish came. Oh, gravy. Let's run through real quick. Damien Priest is banned from ringside, so I guess there's a magic line where he walks down the ramp but not past the line of where the aesthetic mats begin, so he is still technically not at ringside and in the aisleway. And it's a big distraction, and AJ Styles, who has never seen interference before in his 20-year wrestling career, longer than that, Jesus, 23-something, who cares? Finn Balor runs up from behind, of course, hits Damien Priest, and now Damien Priest is at ringside but shouldn't be. Finn and Damien are brawling. AJ Styles has been on the top turnbuckle for approximately 6 days, and a hooded person wearing Rhea Ripley's tights and boots and a hoodie over her head shoves AJ, and then AJ falls into a submission move because instead of Edge just snagging the pin quickly, Edge has to put on like first a crossface and then a chin lock thing, and the referee says AJ's out, and Edge wins. Okay. And the announcers say, who is he? Who is him? They use all the male pronouns. What's his problem? He. So obviously it's Rhea Ripley. If it wasn't more obvious before that this person in a black hoodie with a hood over one's head, as hoodies tend to have, and Rhea Ripley's tights, it's Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley's hair is dyed jet black like the 1995 Creatures of the Night. I knew it. It all came full circle. I called this 6 weeks ago. No one listens to Bob. They don't listen to Bob, Chris. Why is that? I don't understand. So, Rhea Ripley, I'm not big on Rhea Ripley. I don't know. We've only seen it for 20 seconds so far, so maybe I should shut up. But I don't know. I don't think it's. I think it only helps Edge, and doesn't help anybody else. Because do you really think in the middle of Edge telling long stories about mountains and trees and Hordak and the Fright Zone or whatever there's a Motu reference for the kids. Do you really think in the middle of Edge's modern renditions of King Hamlet that Rhea Ripley's going to have time to talk and get herself over in the middle of that? No. So what does that do? I don't know. I love Edge, but I don't love this. I don't even care that he's a heel. Why is he the creature of the night? Why is he the blue light special? Let's move along. Got 3 more matches. Don't worry, I won't spend too much time on numbers 4 and 5. I quit is what I wanted to say right before this started, but it's an I quit match. Ronda Rousey defeats Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This was garbage. Some people liked it better than the WrestleMania match because this one had brawling in the crowd. This one was awful. I prefer the WrestleMania match. I don't even remember the finish. I just remember it looked like Charlotte was trying to win the match and retain her championship. And this was a kendo stick trading. This was also the 4th match and the first SmackDown match. Of the 6 matches, there's 4 Raws and 2 SmackDowns. Not the biggest deal in the world. One show is 3 hours, one is 2. A little surprised. I thought there'd be at least 7 to whatever. A lot of people mentioning Bianca Belair not on this thing or involved, and even Becky tweeted about it, but yeah, I don't know the deal. Couldn't tell you. Charlotte and Ronda, yikes. So, Ronda's biggest weakness isn't even her physical stuff, because she's an attraction. You could work around her the right way. Ronda's weakness is her speaking voice and her ability to speak creatively. So they have a match designed around shoving a microphone into women's faces while they are tired. Brilliant. Oh God. So anytime the microphone's shoved in Ronda's face, she has to say bitch. She called Charlotte a bitch 14 times. It should have been called the you bitch match. They brawl into the crowd. I hated this the most of everything in this match. Really unsafe. I don't want them hitting a fan. I don't want fans too close to them. I don't want a fan to do harm to them. I don't want some creepy fan to grope one of them in an appropriate manner. I don't want any of that shit ever happen. I take that very. I don't make any jokes. It's not funny. I don't want a kid, especially a kid, taking a fucking accidental boot in the mouth. I don't want that. That's not fun. Wrestling is fun. You want people getting hurt. So Ronda's down and Charlotte's taunting her, and they're on the outside of the ring, so they're right by this balcony area. And the referee is closest to the camera. And there's some teenager, a female teenager, by the way. So I'm not that they couldn't grope one another. They could if they choose to, but it's still assault. No, I'm just saying there's like a young lady in in a red hoodie running away from her grandma who's a wolf. No, some young lady is taunting and has her face way too close to Ronda Rousey, which, if you saw the video of the guy taunting Mike Tyson on an airplane, I wouldn't go doing that. But anyway, and she's staying on Ronda for like a minute, and the referee, instead of being between the two of them, which he should have been, I was yelling at the referee during this entire time. Ref, get between them. Ref, get between them. What are you doing? Why is this the time there are no security guards? Fucking Jon Moxley in AEW takes a stroll throughout the entire arena, buys a hot dog, gets his seats, and there's security guards, blah, 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 blah. And don't tell me that before the show they didn't know exactly where they are going over the barricade and what area they're walking over to, and yada, yada, yada. This is not a spontaneous program. It's not a spontaneous company. They don't make spontaneous anything. That's probably why the ratings are what they are. But nothing spontaneous about WWE and hasn't been in years. So they know they're going to be there. Where is security? Where they couldn't send extra referees, extra bodies anywhere. The referee could have easily positioned himself in between that girl and Ronda Rousey. We don't know if Ronda's going to snap and do something dumb. We don't know if this strange fan is going to do something dumb. And meanwhile, and that leaves Charlotte on her own, who's wearing next to nothing and can't have eyeballs in the back of her head and is a target. And she's also like 6'1" and long platinum blonde hair. You're not going to miss her, okay? Like, good God. Didn't like it. Makes me feel icky about the entire rest of the match. Anyway, they get back to the ring somehow. They trade the figure 8 leg lock, and Charlotte and Ronda says bitch 14 more times, and Charlotte takes the microphone and says something dumb, and she has a chair, and then Ronda puts Charlotte's arm through a chair and uses the arm bar, and because Ronda's own arm bar couldn't submit Charlotte, so now Ronda Rousey needs a chair to submit Charlotte Flair. There you go. And Charlotte says, I quit, or I give up, whatever the hell she says. And then a little later on, shortly after, they have Kayla Braxton backstage saying Charlotte has a broken radius. A broken radius. I don't need to know about her lady parts, okay? But, hang on a second. Oh, apparently that's in the arm. Okay, I didn't know ladies had different arms, okay? I'm not a guinea geologist. I don't understand. So that's not about. I don't get involved in any of that. Ronda Rousey's the new SmackDown champion. Yay! That means they have to make her talk more. Ugh. I should just quit. You should quit, match. Madcap Moss wrestles Happy Corbin. I actually made a point to watch this video package because I knew nothing about this feud or this breakup. I'm sorry I did. Madcap Moss fights Corbin for way too long and beats him with a sunset flip. Let's carry on. That was a cool him off, so the main event doesn't have to follow a championship, or a title change rather, and a match with weapons. Because Roman, because they were chanting for tables all throughout. I have to backtrack. They were chanting for tables all throughout the Rousey Charlotte thing, and they didn't use tables. And it's no secret, and Roman's right. He doesn't want people doing dumb shit with tables before his main event. And he's 100% right. I back him up on that. despite his unpopularity lately. So we do the 6-man tag. This is the main event. This is over soon, I promise. For a while, they were having a wonderful house show 6-man tag match. And they were doing great, and like I said earlier, they were taking their time. Roman tags in, Roman tags out. And the story of this match, Brett was right. The story of this match is Drew McIntyre, since he's the guy on the team who is not a tag team champion. He wants Roman. He feels he can beat Roman. And he's hunting after Roman, right? Which is setting up, one way or another, is setting up, I'm assuming, Drew versus Roman at whatever the next, probably, do they do Money in the Bank in June still? Because last year there was a Hell in a Cell in June. End October the year, I don't know, whatever. Whatever the hell is going on in the middle of June. That's that. So, it's clearly going to be Drew and Roman. And we'll drag that out. And then Drew will lose. So, I had mentioned earlier last week on Hardest Part of the Ring, I thought the best way to go was to have Orton and Drew competing in the match for the win on Roman, and then Riddle gets it. Even though I knew Roman's not taking any pins until 2 WrestleManias from now, because he has to beat The Rock at one, and then lose to someone else at the other one, maybe. But I thought that would have been fun and different and created intrigue. And Riddle could have the match, and Riddle will lose, and but I thought that would be something fun and different and unexpected, and a nice reward for not having a title match, the first pay-per-view in several years after having only one male champion. But they didn't do that. That was my idea. Orton and Drew compete for that pin, and no one talks about or even considers Riddle might get it, and Riddle gets it. And Orton and Drew can look at each other and go, oh shit. And Orton can still be happy for him, but will he be jealous in turn? Or will it go to Riddle's head? Or will the whole team be cool with it? How will Drew react? Maybe Drew will snap and turn on Riddle, because Drew had to carry the company through the pandemic. There's so many possibilities. Nope. Roman just pins Riddle here. I thought my idea wouldn't really happen. It would be cool. I thought the logical paint by numbers finishes. Okay, we're building Drew and Roman. Drew pins an Uso, right? That's kind of 101 right there. That's booking for amateurs. Drew pins an Uso to set up for him fighting Roman. And so there's this way you can buy time. Drew will have to wrestle both Usos on some SmackDown. That'll still happen. I'm sure they'll do with that at some point. Maybe he'll wrestle one Uso, and the next week he wrestles the other, then third week he wrestles both Usos. Maybe they might just do something like that. I don't know. But RK Bros has to get involved. They got off topic. So Roman just pins Riddle with a spear. So they do all these fantastic big finishes at the end. Orton, RK Bro, really, were the most over baby faces on this show. And you can put Cody in there too. And AJ is liked. But again, they're not cheering AJ too hard because they don't want to cheer him to hurt Edge, who they still like but don't want to cheer because he's doing this terrible gimmick, but don't want to boo because Edge is beloved. So Cody would be second, but RK Bro would be. And Drew is not hated. The crowd, I think, likes him enough. They respect him. And I think Drew is more appreciated than he is over, if that makes sense. No one's going, I love that Drew McIntyre. They're going, hey, he's a good dude and we appreciate him. Which is not a bad thing. Drew McIntyre is the quintessential number 2 babyface of a company. And that's a good spot, actually. So, there was only one spear that Roman did. He did it to Riddle, and that was the finish, and that was fine. Riddle did a top rope RKO to one of the Usos. Turns around, spear, didn't see the tag. Very good. And again, it was a great match. Heyman didn't do anything in it because Heyman, there was nothing for him to do. But it ends with Roman didn't need his hand held in this. And Uso, yeah, it would have been predictable, but I honestly believe this match was designed for an Uso to just eat the pin. And make us think maybe Drew will get one over on Roman. Now, not only does it make me even less excited about Drew versus Roman, it also kills any interest in RK Bro and Usos. Because Riddle just got beat. So, I guess this was originally, there was like 1 week where they pretended, or maybe it was and they changed it, I don't know. This was going to be a tag team unification thing, and that either got scrapped or that was never the plan to begin with. I don't know the answer. But this event happened. There were 3 good wrestling matches on this show, and there were 3 other matches. And that was the end of that. I think it's worth watching a replay and watch the... Give me a second. The third is Edge and AJ. The first, third, and sixth match is what and on a replay with no entrances, you can watch this entire show in less than an hour. That's what I would do. I also should have gone to grad school. Okay, you guys agree. Toy news, really, not news, really fast. I want to address this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to run long. I'm rambling. I released this weekend in the Sunbob world. The Batman versus the Snake Eyes is up. It's on my YouTube channel. The Bob Squad. Find the link, the playlist, the Sunbob G.I. Joe Adventure playlist there. This one's really cool. It's the entire video from front to back, including the end credit scene. Don't miss the end credit scene. It is 39.5 minutes. It's a Batman movie, a major Batman G.I. Joe movie. The Batman versus the Snake Eyes, LOL. I'm really, really happy with this one. Apparently, I said 5 weeks, but it was actually 6 weekends that I dedicate to making this, and I have to stop for a little bit. I'll keep writing on the weekdays for another one, but it's too much because I think every weekend in 2022, because most of my comedy shows have actually been on weekdays, so a lot of my weekends, all my weekends, I guess, just about every Friday, at least one weekend night, and usually 2, have gone to making these, and I just need to stop for a bit because I'm losing, because I'm getting to bed at 4 in the morning on these nights, and it's bad. It's really bad, and I gotta stop. But I get obsessed. That's my fault. I mean, I get obsessed. I'm like, I want to edit it all now. Do you need to? Couldn't wait a day. But, no, I need to see what it looks like right now. But I get excited. But this is a cool story, I think. I think it's a story of Batman and Snake Eyes. It's hard with 2 main characters. One doesn't talk, and the other one barely talks. Boy, I figured out that debacle really fast. And they're both dark and brooding. So, of course, G.I. Joe and Cobra have to be involved. I love instead of a turf war over some Gotham MacGuffin or something, which kind of happens a little, but no, I don't think it's too much. I thought Destro's interest in reading about weaponry from a vigilante in Gotham that he hasn't heard of, I thought that was more interesting, to have Destro be like, hey, you know, he's a smart guy. He keeps up on things. He's like, hey, what's going on over there? I'm curious. But of course, he's Destro. He thinks he's got all the answers. I like the idea of, for once, Destro is the impatient one, and Cobra Commander is actually the more cautious one, which is odd for them. But I thought it was cool for Cobra Commander to be like, I don't want anything to do with these Gotham people. I just have a weird feeling, and I don't like it. And of course, Destro's like, come on, it's costumed weirdo, who cares? And Cobra's like, nah, something's not right. And he was right, something's not right in Gotham. And the idea of Batman on the flag, and General Hawk and Duke trying to talk to Batman like he's a G.I. Joe and not quite getting the message that he is not, and Roadblock not approving of it, and because Snake Eyes can't talk to him, but you know, Batman is the irresistible force, Snake Man is the immovable object, to quote Gorilla Monsoon, and they have similar goals, but one Snake Eyes is a man of the law, and Batman is clearly not. So there is a... It almost makes Snake Eyes more like Superman. It makes Snake Eyes the Boy Scout, except for one problem. There's times where Batman looks more like the Boy Scout, too. There's a trade-off. As far as rules and regulations go, Snake Eyes is the Boy Scout. But as far as the no killing, no guns rule, Batman's actually the Boy Scout. So there's a bit of juggling on how we handle things. So, I really like this story. The newest one is always my best one, and I don't just say that because I want you to watch them. I do want you to watch them. Please do. Please watch the Batman vs. the Snake Eyes on my channel. By the time this is uploaded on my YouTube channel, it will be the second most recent video. But the Sun Bob playlist, it's right there. Give it a watch. Give it a like. Share the damn thing with someone who might like it. I know the fan fiction isn't everyone's bag. It's not always mine either, but we have to tell our story. And I think a lot of it is still pent up from the time away from comedy and everything else, where it's like, oh, our voices are silenced at the risk of being melodramatic for a little bit, so you have to tell your story, and that's kind of how I feel. I want to tell my story, the same way I did with the Transformers and the several G.I. Joe ones and the Motu one and everything else. I think the fall this year will do another big Motu one, and that'll be it for Motu. Transformers, don't expect me to do another one anytime soon. I honestly don't, at this point, I don't think I'm doing another Transformers ever again. That ruined my life. The Batman was fun to make. It really was. The Batman versus the Snake Eyes. Watch the end credits. So thank you. I'm signing off now. I appreciate you listening to me this far. I know it's been a lot of Bob this week. Thank you so much. I'm hitting the stop button right now on the hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da.